There are moments in life, that just, they cut deeper than any physical wound. Moments that leave this mark on your soul. And when those moments involve losing someone you love, that pain is already almost too much to bear.
Right. It's overwhelming.
But then imagine that grief, just slammed up against the cold reality of being behind bars, shackled, unable to really mourn, unable to hug someone or be hugged.
Yeah.
It's this deeply human sorrow, but it's often just overlooked when we talk about the criminal justice system.
It really is.
So today we're going to try and pull back the curtain on this rarely seen, honestly heartbreaking reality of incarcerated individuals trying to attend family funerals. We've got some incredibly poignant sources that shed light on this space. They give us a window into both the huge emotional toll and the very strict rules and steps involved in what they call compassionate absences. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's fascinating here is how this specific thing, this often hidden part of the system, it just lays bare the human element right at the core. It's not just about, rules and regulations or numbers. It's about the real life-altering consequences of choices. And the enduring bonds of family, even when things are incredibly difficult, incredibly constrained.
Right.
Understanding this piece helps us really grasp the full weight of what incarceration means. Not just for the person inside, but for their whole family, often for generations.
When you really start looking at the raw emotional cost, it's devastating. One of the pieces we looked at, A Plea to Choose Life and Freedom, it's paints such a vivid, heartbreaking picture. It's hard to shake. Picture this. A Department of Corrections van pulls up to a funeral home, not delivering supplies, but dropping off a son, maybe a brother, a father.
Yeah.
2 or 3 officers escort this man, shackled, inside, just to view the body of someone he loved dearly, his mother, maybe his brother, even his child. It's a scene most of us just don't even think about.
No, we don't. And that plea document, the detail that really stands out is the sheer isolation of that moment. It describes the person being led in, usually in full restraints, handcuffs, sometimes leg shackles too.
Wow.
Constantly supervised. They can't touch or comfort their grieving family who might be standing just, a few feet away.
Right there.
There's no privacy to cry, no quiet corner. It's this public, really regulated moment of incredibly intense private grief.
You just hit on something so critical there, the not being able to connect physically.
Yeah.
Think about it. When someone you love dies, the first thing you want to do is hug someone, hold them, be held.
Exactly. That human touch.
Share that raw comfort. But for these individuals, that's completely forbidden. No comforting hug, no shoulder to cry on, no private space to just fall apart.
It's just
the cold metal of handcuffs, constant supervision, and this silent burning pain. Hidden behind watchful eyes and the knowledge that those prison walls are waiting. It's like trying to give comfort through thick glass.
It's such a profound illustration of how consequences ripple outwards, doesn't it? Far beyond just the person's actions. The choices made lead to these devastating moments, not just for the person locked up, but for their entire family. And that plea, it's not just observing the suffering, it's really a powerful call, almost a spiritual appeal for a different path, for choosing life and freedom consciously. It underscores the truth that, actions have consequences, but there's also this enduring message of worth, of possibility that goes beyond the immediate pain.
That's powerful.
The source says, and I find this really moving, you're not invincible. You're not disposable. You are loved. You are needed. Your life matters. And it's not too late to rewrite your story.
Wow.
It's a reflection on, the deepest implications of loss in these circumstances. A reminder that even in that grief with such limited interaction, the value of life and the potential for a different future, they're still there.
What's really unsettling, though, and the source points this out clearly, is that this agonizing, super restricted moment of viewing a loved one, it costs money.
Yeah. That's another layer.
A grieving family, already shattered, has to find the money, sometimes $800 or more, just so their loved one can stand there, handcuffed, in front of a casket for maybe 15 or 20 minutes.
15 minutes. It's hard to fathom.
Think about that. 15, 20 minutes for $800. It's not just a fee. It feels like this awful tax on human sorrow.
It really does.
It just lays bare how the system struggles, I guess, to balance compassion with control. Like the source says so powerfully, prison doesn't stop death. It only adds more suffering to it.
And that financial burden, like you said, it isn't just a number on a page. For so many families impacted by incarceration, families who might already be struggling with legal fees, phone calls, commissary, travel for visits.
All that adds up.
Another $800 can be completely impossible. It forces families into these terrible choices, It deepens the very real economic stress that often comes with having someone in the system. And it highlights this fundamental disconnect, doesn't it? Where the system's focus on punishment can overshadow its ability for empathy. It shows these invisible barriers to just basic human dignity, even in death.
That message you mentioned, it's not too late to rewrite your story. It's incredibly powerful. But, given how restrictive prison is, how much real agency does someone actually have to act on that hope in these moments? It feels like a contradiction.
It absolutely is a paradox. That message of hope, of agency, it's vital precisely because the system is designed to strip away so much autonomy. The plea reminds us that the human spirit can still seek redemption, transformation, even in the most confining places. But practically speaking, acting on that, it takes immense internal strength and often, external support through programs, through reforms. These moments of deep loss, like a funeral, they can be a catalyst for that realization. But the path forward inside prison, it's still incredibly difficult.
That's a stark truth. Okay, let's shift gears a bit from the emotional weight to the practical side. Given how incredibly personal and critical these moments are, is there actually a formal process, like a system in place for this to even happen?
Yeah.
How does a family even begin to navigate something like that, especially when they're already drowning in grief?
That's a crucial question. And thankfully, yes, there is a pathway. But it demands incredible precision and, importantly, timeliness.
Okay.
Our sources indicate that within the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, TDCJ, there's this concept known as an emergency absence, or sometimes compassionate furlough.
Right.
It's specifically designed to allow an inmate to attend the funeral of an immediate family member, and that means, parents, spouse, child, or sibling, or sometimes to visit a critically ill relative. These absences are temporary. They are always fully escorted, and they have to be completed, start to finish, within 24 hours of leaving the unit.
24 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
So if a family finds themselves in this just unimaginable situation, what are the immediate steps? You said time is critical.
Time is absolutely everything. The very first, most crucial step is immediate notification.
Okay.
As soon as a death happens, a family member needs to tell the unit staff. That means reaching out to the warden, the unit chaplain, the case manager, or a counselor, and do it fast, like really fast. Minutes can count here. They need to understand the urgency.
Got it. Notify immediately. What's next?
Next, you'll need documentation. You can't just call and say it happened, unfortunately.
Right, they need proof.
Exactly. You need to provide concrete official evidence. That could be a death certificate, maybe a statement from the funeral home, an obituary, or the official funeral notice. This paperwork is key. It proves the emergency, and it helps establish if the inmate is even eligible. Imagine, though, you're deep in grief, and suddenly you have to switch gears to handle bureaucracy. It adds a huge layer of stress.
Oh, absolutely. That's a heavy lift for a grieving family. So once they have the notification done and the documentation gathered, what's the next official step?
Okay, after notification and docs, a formal request for the emergency absence has to be submitted. Often, this means filling out a specific form.
A form.
Yeah, and that usually goes to the Texas Board of Pardons and Parole's Clemency Reprieve section. Now, if you're feeling overwhelmed by this, which is totally understandable, the facility's caseworker or the chaplain can actually help.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, they can help make sure the paperwork gets filled out right and sent to the right place. There's supposed to be a point of contact for families in these situations.
Okay.
Now, it's really vital to understand not every inmate is eligible. There are specific criteria.
Right. What are those?
Well, the inmate has to have been free from any serious disciplinary problems for at least 6 months before the request.
6 months, clean record, basically.
Basically. Also, certain serious offenses, especially violent ones, or if they're considered a high flight risk or certain high security classifications, can automatically disqualify someone.
Okay.
And, of course, the event itself has to be a qualifying family emergency, like we said, death or critical illness of an immediate family member. The system looks closely at the timing, the proof, the inmate's behavior, and ultimately the decision is discretionary. It's not guaranteed.
That 24-hour limit you mentioned, is that absolute set in stone? And does that cause problems, especially in a huge state like Texas?
Absolutely. The sources are really clear, 24 hours. from the moment they leave the facility to the moment they return.
Wow.
And yes, in a state as massive as Texas, that creates huge challenges. Imagine you need to get from a prison way out in West Texas to a funeral down in Houston.
Yeah, that's a long drive.
Exactly. That 24-hour clock starts ticking the second they leave the gate. It severely limits how much time can actually be spent at the funeral. Often it boils down to just a few moments of viewing before that long trip back.
Yeah.
It's just another layer of stress and complex logistics for everyone involved, including the officers doing the escort.
So if the request does get approved, what actually happens? What does it look like?
If it's approved, TDCJ staff will escort the inmate to the funeral or the memorial service. It's important for families to understand the inmate will almost always be in restraints, handcuffs, maybe shackles for the whole trip.
The whole time.
The whole time. And physical interaction with other people there. Generally not allowed. Access is strictly limited to just attending the service or the viewing. This raises an important question, doesn't it, about how we balance security needs with the profound human need to grieve, and whether the current system really allows for meaningful mourning.
That's a deep question. What happens if someone isn't eligible? Or if the request just gets denied for some reason? Is that just it? No other option?
That's a critical point for families. Many facilities do offer a more private virtual option if going in person isn't possible or isn't approved.
Oh, okay. Like a video call.
Sort of. The unit chaplain or other staff can sometimes coordinate a live stream of the service, or they might allow the inmate to watch recordings later, or maybe participate in some kind of small memorial setting right there inside the facility. Now, obviously, it's not the same as being there, not even close. But it does offer some measure of participation, some acknowledgement when physically attending isn't an option. It kind of underscores the isolation, but sometimes it's the only connection available.
Right. Better than nothing, I suppose.
Timing, though, is just crucial in all of this. From the first call to the final yes or no, the whole process usually takes about 1 to 3 days, sometimes faster in real emergencies.
1 to 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Which means that quick notification, getting that documentation right away, and just staying in constant touch, coordinating with the unit staff, it's all absolutely vital for families trying to make this happen.
It sounds intense.
It is. And it's worth pointing out, this is different from compassionate release programs. Those are for inmates who are medically frail or terminally ill themselves, focused on their own medical needs, not family emergencies like funerals.
Got it. Different thing entirely. Right. And remember, ultimately, these approvals are discretionary. Even if someone meets the criteria, it's not automatic. State laws and TDCJ policies allow for compassion, yes, but each case is looked at individually, security level, disciplinary record, the family relationship, facility protocols. It all plays a part.
So just to recap, for any family facing this incredibly hard situation, the practical steps are clear, and they need to happen fast.
Exactly.
First, quickly tell the unit staff, warden, chaplain, caseworker what's happened. Then get all the official paperwork, death certificate, funeral home statement, whatever's needed.
Right.
Work with the staff there, the caseworker or chaplain, to get that formal request submitted to the Board of Pardons and Paroles.
Crucial step.
And don't just file it and wait, follow up. Keep contacting the unit staff, the chaplain. Really stress the urgency.
Absolutely.
And if, for whatever reason, going in person is denied, remember to ask about that virtual option through the chaplain. It sounds like navigating a maze while your heart is breaking.
That's a good way to put it.
This has been a really sobering look to a part of the justice system most of us just never think about. Understanding these specific but intensely human aspects of incarceration, it gives us a much fuller picture of the impact, the lasting impact on people and their families.
Yeah.
When you peel back those layers and see the hidden suffering, the complexities involved in just basic human needs like grief behind bars, here's where it gets really interesting. It's such a powerful insight into the whole system.
And this raises an important question, maybe for all of us to think about. How does understanding these really challenging realities, the costs, the restrictions, the pain of separation during loss, how does that maybe reshape our perspective? Our perspective on rehabilitation, maybe, on the strength of family ties, even when institutions try to break them, and just the broader impact of incarceration on society. It forces us to think beyond just punishment, to consider the profound, lasting impact on human lives. And maybe, just maybe, the possibility for compassion even inside these really complex, rigid systems.